Hello everyone. Today we are going to look at how to create a rendering like this in 3ds Max. We are going to create a crystal which is glowing. Alright, so let us see how this can be done in 3ds Max. In Max, we will start with a cylinder. We'll go to edged faces and we will height segments, we'll make it 3 and sides we'll make it 5. Okay, we'll convert it to editable poly, go to vertex, select the top vertices and we will weld them. Just increase this number until they weld. Alright, we don't need the bottom face because it will be inside the ground, so we'll delete it. Okay, this is quite tall, so we can scale it short, so we'll make it tall and move it above the ground. Okay, so now we'll sculpt it a little bit, so we'll move it left, we'll move this right. Okay, we can even rotate it a little bit. Alright, so we can then now make it uneven. Just feel free to model it. We will scale the bottom inside. Alright, so this is our basic shape. We'll go to modify panel and we will add a chamfer. Okay, so very little chamfer we need. So this looks good. All we need to do now is maybe it will be rotated at one side like this when we get started. This will be the main one and then we will create a few around it. So I'll shift and rotate to create a new one. We can move it around. It can be scaled short. I can go to the vertex mode and then try to have these longer so it looks different than the first one. Okay, so we make slight changes here and there so that you get some unique shapes. Alright, so that one is done. So I will shift rotate and move it around. Move this one around here. We can go to local and rotate it around so it doesn't have the same view. And then again we can go to edit poly and make some quick changes so it is different than the other one. Not really worried about how it looks. Just some changes. Alright, so that is done. I'll select this one and then I will shift rotate it this side so another one is created. Move it back so this can be seen on this side. It's important that when you create something it is visible in the camera. So we'll place it like this. Our camera setup will be done from this angle. So this is in the back. We'll again scale it short and then tweak a few vertices to make it look unique. Again it moves this side. Doesn't need too many changes. That should be good enough. It's in the back anyways. And then you can change the rotation a little bit if you need. Then I will create theme 1, view, shift rotate, and move it in the front side here. Okay, maybe this is skinnier, this is smaller. We need to add some variation, and I think this is already looking good enough. We can go to local and then this to be local and then change it a bit. Alright, and now I'll create a few small ones. So shift and move it. Scale it small. This one, shift and scale it small. Move it around, rotate it around. Okay. Select this one, shift scale. Alright. So we will add a plane so that we can make sure that things are inside the plane. So we'll select all of these, move it inside. Okay, we don't want anything which is to further move it inside. Alright, so this is good. Okay, so it will be, this can be scaled big, I guess. Okay, so this one we will remove the vertices, convert to editable poly, select this edge, shift, move it up, select this edge, chamfer, increase the chamfer value, add a few segments so we get a smooth background, and then you can scale it wide. Okay, so this will be used as a backdrop, and then I'll set up the camera something like this. Hit Control T to add a camera. Camera shows a frame. Render settings. We are using Arnold production. Physical camera locked. Common will start by 720 by 405 for rendering. Okay, so now we will have to I had off-centered it. Can then move it there. Simply scale it wide. Make sure that the entire background is covered with the plane. Right? So that's our rendering there. We can move the camera down a little bit. Maybe closer. All right. So this looks good. Our basic setup is done. Now we will move on to materials. So we are going to use Arnold surface, standard surface material. This one we will call it a floor. And this one we will call it crystal. Because all these crystals are going to have the same material, we can select one of them, convert it to editable poly, click on attach, and attach all the crystals together, so all of them will have same material. Okay, our ground is dark in color. Select it, assign material to selection, roughness say 0.8, specular will move it down. Select the other one, crystal. We will create a red crystal, so it's going to be a red color. Actually this color doesn't really matter. The base color, there will be no color. Transmission we will use 0.9 and we will have a transmission color of red. Okay, render it and that's what you get. We didn't assign it. So select it, assign material to selection, and this is how the crystal looks. So we have transmission red color, and then we will add a very slight emission of say 0.02, and then we will add some purplish color to that emission, and you can see it is emitting. I think it's too much. 0.01. Make this darker. Okay, so you get some emission there. Now what we will do is we will go to lighting, create Arnold light, click in the scene to create a light, go to modify panel, we will change it to mesh, and then under none we will select our crystal as mesh. So if we render it, now our mesh, our crystal has become the source of light. So now we will work with the intensity. So let us increase the intensity to 5. Okay, and then exposure to 12. We can change the light color to red as well. Then we'll keep it slightly off red. Okay, so you can see that now our light is Okay, so that is the basic of how you do it, and now it's a matter of tweaking the settings. Let us make the emission 0 and see what you get. Okay, 0.01. Make this emission red color as well, slight less. Transmission, let us leave it 1. Okay, so it creates a nice shiny color. This object we can make the specular 0.1. Okay, so it is less distracting, then maybe more. And you get a nice rendering. You can increase the samples to get a clean render. Alright guys, so this is what we got so far. Let us look at the light and intensity. Let us increase it to say 9. Okay, and then we get more of the brightness. Let us try to make it 13. Exposure. Okay, so it looks much better here. And then we'll further enhance the intensity to say 12. Okay, that gives us a lot of light. And then sometimes changing the angle can do the trick. So maybe this angle is not very good for the lighting. If you rotate it a bit, and now it looks much better. If you go to material editor, specular is 1, we can get rid of the specular roughness. Transmission is 1, try depth as 1. What happens if it is 2? Okay, so we will save this and change the depth to 0 and then compare the renders. Okay, so this is 0 depth and this is a depth of 2. So depth doesn't do much, so you can ignore that one. Emission is 0.01, so we will render it now. Cancel it, keep it here, and then we will put the emission to 0 and render it. And you can see that it looks black. So 0.01 emission does actually look better. Okay, and then the last thing we will do is, because this mesh is the geometry that is creating light, we will go to modify panel, go to element and select this big element, and we will shift scale it inside, so we create more geometry, so more light. Okay, and then if you render, you can really get a very nice effect. Okay, so that's about it. Now what you can do is the final render setup I can show you, and then you can follow the same. We need a lot of passes to get a good result here. So diffuse can be 6, specular can be 6. Use a camera of 4. Transmission, let us make it 3. and this plus if you go to denoiser and if you have a good computer, this will accept it. And then you go to common and make it 1280 by 720. Then that would be your final render. Okay, so you can see that the results that you get are quite similar to what I got. Few differences here and there. So that's about it. This is going to take some time to render. So I'm done here. Hope you like the tutorial and follow my channel, subscribe and like my videos, and hope you enjoy learning and creating some amazing artwork.